Hey traders and investors, Serge Berger here. Today I want to show you guys a trade that looks to be setting up in NVIDIA Corp. Ticker symbol NVDA. It's a good trading stock in case you didn't know. First of all, let's look at the multi-year chart here for a little bit of perspective. And it sure does look like this stock wants to go back to where it was in 2007, somewhere near the high 30s, maybe the $40 area. That looks to be where this stock wants to push toward. That is its all-time highs. So if you look at this through a multi-year lens, stock currently, as I'm recording this, just a little bit above the midway point of the $35 mark, so 35.70 or so, and looks like it really does want to push up here. In fact, doesn't look a whole lot different to something like Microsoft, which is also pushing slowly but surely back to its previous all-time highs. Actually, in this case, back in the year 2000, near the $60 area. So you got a couple stocks here that, among other stocks, that are looking quite similar. The only problem for something like NVIDIA is that its slope here in the intermediate term has become unsustainably steep. Let's look at the daily chart, give you guys a little perspective of what this looks like. All right, so first of all, you can see we've had a real 1, 2, 3 move higher in this stock, and we held the 200-day moving average on that latest sell-off here down into the mid-February lows. But once again, we are very, very overbought here by just about any measure from a momentum perspective, and B, also just basically very overbought above its 200-day moving average. That's this red line. Okay, now let me show you a very simple way of looking at this a little bit differently as well to give you a little bit more perspective. Okay. Also, look how far this stock has been able to hold above its 21-day moving average ever since those mid-February lows. And what we can start doing is painting my favorite pattern. Is called a rising wedge pattern. Looks something like this in this stock, NVIDIA. Okay, now what's really important, and we can overlay something like a MACD, like a real simple moving average convergence divergence oscillator, just to give you guys a bit of an idea of how severely overbought the stock is. The problem with a stock like this when it's moving is you don't really want to go in and short the stock on its own unless we have a bearish confirmed reversal pattern. This is something I've been discussing with Clubhouse members, this trade setup, and I'm going to go into more detail as we potentially get a setup here sooner. Maybe over the coming days or so. This company does have earnings coming up in the not too distant future. So I don't think shorting the stock here, unless we have a confirmed bearish reversal, is the smart thing to do. But I do think the options market is giving us some decent opportunities here. If we look at implied volatility, over here, this is the level of implied volatility. You can see we are fairly low in the 52-week range. In fact, I'm going to pull this up over here for you guys, and I'll just read it to you. The implied volatility on NVIDIA stock at the moment is in the 25th percentile of the 52-week range. So in the lower quadrant, so to speak, of the 52-week range. So implied volatility is fairly cheap. So there's several options one could do. One could go out and start buying some small size protective puts with a few months left to expiration. Or if one wants to do, one could also start selling some out of the money call spreads. The only problem with that is implied volatility is quite low, so it's probably not so great to sell options when the implied volatility is fairly low. So I think NVIDIA has a rate of change that's very unsustainable. I think buying some protective puts as a starting strategy here to start betting against the stock here for a mean reversion move is a good strategy. Again, it doesn't mean it can't go higher, and we do have earnings coming out in the not too distant future. If we get another push higher, then I think one could go ahead and actually buy even more puts, or at that point maybe implied volatility spiked a little bit and you could go and start some out of the money call spreads or something like that. Again, many different strategies, but I would caution against selling the stock here, shorting the stock. I would caution against that unless we have a confirmed bearish reversal. But I wanted to highlight this stock with you guys. NVIDIA, very unsustainable rate of change. I do think it's going to move lower, probably back into the low 30s, at least through a multi-week, maybe a multi-month lens or something like that. So I hope this makes sense, guys. Please like the video. That's how I move up in the YouTube ranks. Subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.